Hey guys, back in the shop again today. My name's Luther from Luther's Woodworking. Today we are going to do a Steve Good project. It's been a while since I did one of his projects. It's actually going to be a wood spirit. For those who don't know what a spirit is, usually wood carvers carve them out of sticks or logs or branches, stuff like that. It's usually kind of looks like an old man with a long beard. But basically what it is, if you go to his website, he'll have the pattern there, along with a lot of patterns he's got at his website, so check it out. But if you go to his website, let me just show you. I'll move the camera here and I'll show you what we got. If you download the pattern, you're going to download three pages of the pattern of the spirit. So you got the mustache, nose there, the beard, eyebrows, and then you got the tree or the branch or whatever you want to call it there to put them on. That is the pattern. It's all made out of 1/4-inch wood. It does have a welcome on top here. We're not going to be doing the welcome today. I'm just going to be doing just the spirit. It has a few inside cuts that we have to do. I got to drill them holes. But one thing I want to say, I'm going to do something today that I haven't really did. The wood that I'm using, 1/4-inch wood, it's CDX plywood. Normally I buy it, it's sanded on one side. It's a real nice side here. And the back side usually doesn't look the greatest. It's got all kinds of, you might have a couple knots or whatnot in it. Normally I would use the real nice side for a project. But because we're doing a spirit, and I want it to look rustic, old, and carved, and just, I want it to look like a spirit, we're going to use the back side of this plywood, which is not the best side of the plywood. Normally I would use the nice side. So that's what we're doing today. I got the pieces here. I got my tape on, the pattern on the tape, and then I got a clear tape over the top. We're going to drill the holes. There's just a few interior holes that we got to drill, and then we'll get started with the scroll saw. Now, as far as interior holes go, all I basically use is a Dremel tool with a plunge attachment to it. Nothing fancy, it does work. So we'll just do a few holes here. That there's no interior cuts on them pieces, and there's one interior cut here for the mouth. So that's basically it as far as the interior cuts. We're going to head over to the scroll saw and start cutting them out. Alright, scroll saw here. Now I'm using a number 3 reverse tooth modified geometry blade. For this, we're going to start cutting some inside cuts. There's only one we got to do on this section. And there's no interior cuts on these pieces here. And we got a few on this one. I like to do all my interior cuts first, That way you have a lot more to hang on to. so we have all the interior cuts cut. We're going to start cutting out all the parts now. We'll just start with this part right here. Okay. Don't forget to cut your little decorative lines right here. Alright, so that piece is cut. We'll go on to the next. Okay, and then we don't want to forget to cut these decorative lines on the beard right here. Okay, beard's done. We'll start cutting out some of these other small parts. Okay, a couple more parts. Okay, with the beard right here, I want to do these inside cuts down here first before I cut the whole thing out, because once that's all cut out, it is pretty flimsy because you got all these cuts going down along with the beard. Plus, if you do it that way, you have a lot more to hang on to do that, rather than cut the beard out and then try to cut all them lines with that small item. So we have the beard cut out. Everything's all cut out. We're going to head over to the workbench and talk a little bit more about this and continue on. All right, back at the bench right here. What has to be done next is basically taking off all this blue tape from the pattern. Pretty simple. I normally don't do it. My wife usually does this, but we're going to try to do this real quick. It's not really the funnest job, taking the tape off, but it does have to be done. Okay, so got the mustache. Now the mustache you're going to have to be careful with because it is a little flimsy with all them lines cut in there, so you don't want to break that. Kind of helps to have a little bit of a fingernail to do this, but you want to make sure you get the tape off the back and front of all your parts. Because sometimes that clear tape is really hard to see. Okay, there's the mustache. See, you can see some of the color in that when you do the back of that plywood. Normally I probably wouldn't show you the whole process of taking this tape off, but my videos are done real time, so you see exactly what is all involved in doing a project. I'm not going to go 100 miles an hour, so you can't see what I'm doing. Sometimes these projects take a little bit. Now you can see the color in that. You got your mustache that's going to go right there. And then you got your nose piece that's going to go right there. You can start seeing that color. And we used the back side of that plywood. That's gave it a lot of character. Okay, so here's the actual tree or branch or whatever you want to call it. Using that back part of that plywood, you can see the difference of the back and the front. You want to use the side that's not good on the plywood to give this whole thing some character. So now you got it right here. The nose. You're going to have the eyes, eyebrows, and then a little piece that goes below there. And the same down here. Now you'll have to look at maybe Steve Good's picture to see where all this goes. This is pretty much, I think, where it goes. But you can kind of get the idea of how that's going to look when it's done. Now we're going to do a little sanding on this just to get the fuzzies off the back. Maybe a little bit around the edge. Not much. I don't want to ruin any of the character on this here for the coloring and stuff. But once we get this all, once we sand this up a little bit, we'll come back and actually what we're going to do, we're going to sand this all up a little bit. We're going to glue it together, and we're going to put some oil on this once it's all done. I think that'll really bring out the grain of everything, all the color. So I think it's going to look pretty nice. So we'll get that part done, and then we'll be back. All right, guys, we are back. What I did off camera, we actually finished this spirit that we were working on. Now, we ended up sanding all these parts around the edges, the back, just kind of took all the fuzzies off it and stuff, and then we just used regular wood glue and glued everything on the way it was supposed to be. Now, you can look, when you download the pattern at Steve Good, he has one sheet that shows you where all the parts go, and they're all numbered, so you can put this together the correct way. But yeah, that's what we did. And then after we glued it together and it all dried, we ended up on this one here, we ended up putting boiled linseed oil on it, which actually really works nice. It brings the grain of the wood out really nice. And and because we used the back side of the plywood, there's a big difference between it looking like this in the front, or if you take a piece of plywood right here. Now this is a piece of plywood, the nice size that you would I would normally use. Then I ended up taking and used the back side, and you can see a big difference in how things would look. Because the other side of this, you have this. And this is very pretty for certain applications and projects. So keep that in mind when doing some projects, and you can use the bad side of the plywood because obviously it turned out really nice working on the spirit. Now this one, like I said, is done with boiled linseed oil. I did do another one right here, and you can see a difference. Every one you do is going to be a little different as far as the the color variations and how it all looks. This one here, we actually just sprayed a clear spray sealer on this one here, which don't look too bad. But you can see the back of this one is actually lighter than the back of this one here, because that oil kind of well, it's hard to tell in the camera, but it's a little lighter. But they both turned out really nice. So them turned out really nice. Then I had another one I did, which is made out of a real nice wood. And what we ended up doing was just putting a dark stain on it. That turned out pretty nice. So you can use real nice, this is like Baltic birch plywood right here, real nice plywood. It doesn't have all the wood grain like these other ones have, but it turned out pretty nice. So you have to do some experimenting and use different types of plywood. You could actually use different thicknesses of plywood too, or you could resize this whole pattern to make it actually bigger. So just experiment, do a bunch of different things, try different things. These all turn out really nice. As far as the sanding goes, the trick I use for sanding is I got this piece of plywood here, old piece of plywood, and what I do is I put blue tape on it, and then I glue. Well, I got the tape just around the edge just to kind of protect it, but I glue my sandpaper right to the wood with a temporary glue. This is 220, I think, on here. And then when you're doing your small pieces that you need to sand, you don't want to go on your belt sander and try to sand this, because it probably wouldn't be good for your fingers if it got away. You can take it and just go like this, and you can sand a lot of small parts like that there. Even if they're really tiny, like this here piece right here, you can actually just go like this and sand a lot of small parts without having to use your belt sander or a big tool to sand all these small parts. And this works really nice. This is 220. You can make a piece of plywood with 80 grit or 150 grit or whatever you want. And I have a couple of different ones of these, and then whatever I want to use, I just grab that for small parts. So yeah, that's how we did a lot of these small parts on this here Spirit. So we got these three done. Thanks to Steve Good coming up with another great project. Make sure you go to his website, because he does have a lot of projects there, a lot of information on his website that you can read and get a lot of patterns from his website. I think that is about it for this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I know sometimes it can get long, but I like to show you exactly what I do, and I like to do it in real time. The majority of it all in real time. I know I sanded it off camera and put it together off camera, but I pretty much did it real time so you can see exactly how long it took to cut and everything. So these turned out really nice. So hopefully that inspired you to get scrolling and do some experimentation on different types of wood, different ways you can use plywood, and to make this project right here. So we'll see you in another video.